So last week, Times of India, one of India's largest media organizations, shared this video with their millions of followers on Instagram. Now, as we speak, this video has over 240k views, 20k likes, and a ton of comments. Interestingly, the caption of this video reads, "A delightful sight, straight from nature's playground." The only problem though, this is not from nature's playground at all. In fact, it's the exact opposite. This video has clearly been generated using AI. Now, to be fair, Times of India didn't create this video themselves. They simply reposted it from the original creator. And the original post has more than 2 million views. So, whether this was lack of due diligence, an oversight, or simply their inability to detect AI generated content, that doesn't really matter. And a fair number of people called Times of India out in the comments, saying they should have been more careful, more responsible. But I think there's a much bigger problem here. It's becoming increasingly difficult for people to tell the difference between what's real and what's AI generated content. And there are clearly people out there who are willing to take advantage of that. Now, before we begin, let me be very clear. This is not a video where I'm going to bash a particular creator for misusing AI. That's not my intention at all. What I want to talk about is the impact of AI misuse, the problems it creates, and why this issue is becoming increasingly important for all of us. Let's begin. Using AI to generate images or videos is not the problem. The problem begins when someone tries to pass AI generated content as real, authentic documentation of the wild. And don't get me wrong here. I don't care if someone uses AI to create artwork. I don't care if someone uses AI to tell stories. I don't care if someone uses AI to grow a following on social media. What I care about is honesty. If you generate an image using AI and present it as a real photograph, you are deliberately misleading people. If you generate a video using AI and present it as a real event that actually happened, you're misleading people. And the same goes for any other creative art form. As far as you let people know that your creative output is a result of you using AI, it's fine. The moment you start masquerading it as your real work, it misleads people. The issue isn't the technology. The issue is the deception. In fact, I have used AI in some of my own videos on this channel. Sometimes I have simply used it to either visualize a concept or to recreate a scene and help explain what happened in the jungle. But I've never claimed those visuals were real. In fact, I deliberately made them look intentionally artificial so that it's obvious that they were generated using AI. And in some videos, I explicitly labeled them as AI generated. And I think that's how AI should be used. Use it, experiment with it, create with it. Just be honest about it. Now let's bring this back to wildlife photography for a moment. See, wildlife photography takes a lot of time, effort, and for most of us, a fair bit of money as well. A wildlife photographer has to go out in the field, spend days in the wild, endure failed trips, missed sightings, long hours, and countless other disappointments, all in the hope of creating a photograph that's worth sharing with the world. And mind you, success is never guaranteed. Most of us come back with far more failures than successes. Now, using AI, you can skip all of that. You can skip the travel, you can skip the waiting, you can skip the failures, you can skip the entire experience altogether and yet arrive at the same final outcome, sometimes an even better one. And that's precisely why so many photographers find this extremely frustrating. Not because AI made image creation easier, but because people are taking credit for experiences that they've never had. And then there is another problem. See, photography at its core has always been built on trust. When I look at a wildlife photograph, I assume that the photographer was actually there. I assume they witnessed that moment. I assume that what I'm looking at is a real event that unfolded in front of their camera. That trust is what gives a photograph much of its meaning. The moment someone presents an AI generated image or a video as a real photograph, that trust begins to break down. And it affects everyone. Now, people don't just question the fake images, they start questioning the real ones too. Every remarkable photograph becomes a potential AI image. Every extraordinary sighting becomes a reason for suspicion. And every genuine wildlife photographer suddenly finds themselves having to prove that their work is authentic. And this isn't just a wildlife photography problem. Take this painting, for example. My wife painted this. She spent days working on it, sketching it, choosing the colors, making mistakes, fixing them, slowly turning an idea in her head into something real. Now, take a look at this. I generated this image using AI in less than a minute. And sure, some people might even prefer the AI image. It might look more polished, more dramatic, more visually appealing. But that's not really the point. The point is that these two pieces of work came into existence through two completely different journeys. One is the result of a person's skill, patience, experience, and effort. The other is the result of a machine generating pixels from a prompt. And people deserve to know that difference, because the moment I present this AI image and tell you I have painted this myself, I have crossed a line. At that point, it's no longer creativity, it's deception. Now, how big is this problem really? Honestly, much bigger than I initially thought. While researching this video, I came across multiple Instagram accounts that were actively posting AI generated wildlife images, presenting them as real photographs. And again, I have no issues with people using AI to create wildlife artwork. If that's what you enjoy creating, go for it. Just label it as AI generated and we are good. And unfortunately, this isn't just limited to social media platforms like Instagram. Even some of the biggest photography organizations are grappling with the same issue. Take this case of Boris Eldagsen. See, in 2023, Boris submitted an AI generated image to the Sony World Photography Awards. The image ended up winning in the creative category. And only later did Boris reveal that the image had been generated using AI, and he declined the award. Now, his stated goal was to start a conversation around AI and photography. Now, whether you agree with his approach or not, I think the incident exposed something important. If experienced judges at one of the world's most prestigious photography competitions can struggle to distinguish AI generated work from real photography, what chance does the average person scrolling through Instagram have? And that's exactly why this issue is becoming increasingly difficult to deal with. But to be frank, social media engagement and photography competitions aren't even the most concerning consequences of AI misuse. One of the most dangerous outcomes is misinformation. In October 2025, a clip went insanely viral, claiming that a tiger had snatched away an elderly man in Maharashtra, India. The frightening video went viral and accumulated millions of views across different social media platforms. In the end, forest officials actually had to step in and clarify that the video was fake. Now, this is where things become genuinely dangerous, because misinformation about wildlife doesn't just mislead humans, it can put animals at risk. Public outrage can lead to fear. Fear can lead to retaliation. And retaliation can ultimately harm wildlife conservation efforts. Publishing fake content for attention, reach, or engagement is deeply irresponsible when real animals can suffer the consequences. And as AI continues to improve, this problem is only going to get worse. Now, before this turns into an AI is bad discussion, let's acknowledge something. Most photographers today already use AI, whether we realize it or not. See, AI denoising is AI, subject masking is AI, eye detection is AI. So, this isn't really a debate about whether AI should exist in photography or not. That ship has sailed. The more interesting question is this: where do you draw a line as a photographer? And the truth is, there isn't a universally accepted answer. Every photographer has a different opinion on this. For example, some photographers are totally okay with removing distracting branches in their photos. Others are comfortable in replacing skies. Some are comfortable in removing entire objects from a scene. Personally, though, I've always tried to keep this really simple. My approach has been to avoid using AI to alter the reality of a scene, which simply means that I don't want to add things that weren't there and I don't want to remove things that were. Now, you might argue that removing a small branch isn't that big a deal, and maybe you're right. But that's exactly where things start to get blurry. If removing one branch is acceptable, is removing 10 branches acceptable? Is it okay if I remove this whole tree and all the other distractions around this tiger? Can I add fog? Can I change the lighting in this image? At what point does a photograph stop being a photograph and start becoming a digital illustration? And that's why I personally prefer a much simpler rule. Don't add anything, don't remove anything. Let the scene be what it was. Now, that doesn't mean that you have to agree with my approach. Photography has always had different schools of thought. Some people see it as documentation, others see it as art. Both are valid. But regardless of where you stand on that spectrum, I think one thing is non negotiable: honesty. If you've created something using AI, tell people. If you've significantly altered a scene, tell people. Let the viewer decide how they want to interpret your work. The problem is pretending something is authentic when it isn't. So, what can we do as photographers to tackle this problem? See, honestly, I don't think the solution is learning how to spot AI. AI is improving too quickly, and it's going to only get tougher to spot AI generated art. Just last week, I came across this beautiful photo of a leopard on Instagram. I liked it, I even commented on it. And a few days later, a friend told me that it was generated through AI. So, yeah, I don't think we can effectively learn how to spot AI. Instead, I think there are three things that we can do. First, become a little more skeptical, not cynical, just skeptical. If you come across an extraordinary image or a video online, don't immediately assume it's real. Ask questions: who created it? Where was it photographed? Do you trust that photographer? A little bit of healthy skepticism goes a long way. Second, reward honesty. If someone creates AI generated artwork and clearly labels it as AI, respect that honesty. Now, whether you choose to support AI generated artwork or not is an entirely different discussion. There are absolutely valid debates about what AI does to the environment, and there are valid debates around whether AI generated content should even be considered art. I am not trying to settle any of those debates in this video. What I will say though is this: if someone is transparent about their use of AI, I don't think they are contributing to this problem that we are talking about. You may disagree with their choice to use AI. You may choose not to engage with their work. That's entirely your prerogative. But at least they're being honest about what they're showing you. And finally, value authenticity. Because at end of the day, a photograph is more than just a beautiful image. It's a record of something that actually happened. It's an evidence that a moment existed, that a person was there, that an experience was lived. And I think that's something worth preserving. Yes, absolutely, AI can create beautiful images. It can create images that are more dramatic, more perfect, and perhaps even more visually appealing than many real photographs. But beauty has never been the only thing that gives a photograph its value. Truth matters too. Authenticity matters a lot. And in this world, where creating perfect images is becoming easier and easier, those things may become more important than ever. Before we end this video, take a look at these two images. Can you figure out which one is AI and which one isn't? My guess is you cannot. And this is where we are at. And as AI improves, this problem is only going to compound. So perhaps the question is no longer, can AI create realistic wildlife photographs or videos? The real question is, can we really trust what we see out there? And I think that's where all of us have a role to play. Follow creators who are transparent about their process, reward their honesty. And when something seems too good to be true, don't be afraid to question it. Anyways, these are just my thoughts. Let me know what you think about this issue in the comments below. I am Shantanu and I'll see you in the next one.